and I do it for my city.
On this episode of Hustle Culture, we talk to Adrian Stresow, a local artist, rapper, mixer, producer, audio engineer. On this episode, we cover things in the music industry like, is the industry made for independent artists today? The benefits of a record deal, signing a record deal versus being independent, Adrian Stresow's career and how he's cultivated a community around his music. But in true hustle culture fashion, we don't just talk music on this podcast. We also talk about how he has diversified his sources of income, the way that he thinks as an entrepreneur, college and whether or not it's important in his industry, how being immigrants have impacted both of our mindsets, and so much more. I hope you get at least a fraction of the value that I got talking to Adrian by listening to this podcast. Well, enjoy. Welcome to Hustle Culture. This is the show where we talk to everyday business owners and other hustlers about kind of what they're doing in their lane, in their industry, and just kind of get to know their story and talk about some topics that are impacting culture in their respective industries. I'm your host, Andres Tagliaferro, and today we have a super great guest who, believe it or not, has been in this podcast before. I know, it's like, how has he been on the podcast but hasn't been shown? Look, I don't want to talk about it. Long story short, I messed up. Audio got deleted, but this guy right here is a local Dallas legend. All right, makes great music, an artist, producer, mixing and mastering genius. I mean, what can I say? I can't really say much, but you'll hear from him today. It's Adrian Stresow. Welcome to the show, bro.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me, bro.
Dude, I'm sorry about last time, bro.
Dude, I'm here, bro. I'm happy to do it again. I know how things go, bro. Like, technology, it be getting the best of us sometimes.
Dude, tell me why I literally called, the software developer website.
That's
Talked
crazy.
to some guy named Tepesh, and Tepesh told me I couldn't do anything.
Come on, Tepesh.
But it's all good, man. So, look, bro, so I really want to use this podcast as a platform for you to really be able to talk about your life and, what you've been up to the last couple of years and your music a little more in depth. I know that your audience, I'm part of your audience. When we listen to music, we hear one side of you or 3 minutes worth of you, and it's awesome and it's amazing. But I think podcasts can serve to really, dive a little deeper into people.
Absolutely.
So that's what I want to do today.
Yeah, bro. No, I'm excited for this. Like I was telling you on the last episode before we got deleted, I be consuming podcasts more than music now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to do this, Bet. It's like playing a new instrument.
Exactly, bro. And sometimes the instrument breaks and it makes us mad, but it's all good. So bro, I really want to dive into how you even got started with music, because you're very talented. You're obviously very young. So, talk about a little bit about how you fell into this love of music.
Yeah. Well, when I was like, whatever age, like Guitar Hero came out, what I'm saying? Yeah. That's when I started like playing the video game, and the whole idea of being a rock star seemed cool. But at the time I was so young, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be too scared to be on stage. Like that's not for me. But one day I accidentally was on, I don't know if it was my parents' computer or what, but I opened up GarageBand and then started making beats with loops and stuff.
Dang.
And at the time, that's all I knew how to do, but it was so fun and intoxicating, just like playing video games. It's like the same feeling.
Yeah.
And so I just kept doing it, and one day I said I wanted to make a project, a mixtape, and then I put out my first project in 8th grade and never stopped, essentially. So,
dude,
just
that's kept so fire, doing it. Dude. So you literally just started with GarageBand and just went from there. How did you know that it was, because there's a lot of people who do production and do like stuff for other artists. How did you know that you wanted to be an artist yourself? Because I feel like that's a big step.
Yeah, well, I think it's just that, when I started out, that was like all I had, what I'm saying? It wasn't anybody who I could get. I tried to get my friends to rap with me and try to do all that, but at the end of the day, it's like I was the only one who really was super serious about it and excited about it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to be the singer on my own tracks. I gotta rap on my own tracks. I'm gonna make my own beats. You know what I'm saying? I started out, I was making my own cover art. You know what I'm saying? So just as long as I've been doing it, it's just been kind of like a DIY thing. So I wanted to be the artist, be in control of everything. You know what I'm saying?
Dang, that's so cool. That's so funny you say that, because it's you know, the way I've kind of started doing what I do has been, you know, video is kind of like, if you're on the back end of things, it's kind of similar. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, you need somebody to take video of, or you need someone to do stuff of. So that's what I did, and I started a career off of it. But now I've been like trying to like do what you're doing, which is like get in front of the camera and, you know, start like my own thing. And
I think you're good at that, though. I've seen like some of your stuff, and it's like I think about that for myself, because it's hard when I got a camera, for instance. Like I bought a camera and I was like trying to learn photography, and then it's like, okay, yo, can you link up? You want to take pictures? You got to have an object, a subject of your stuff. And so it's just like, to make content when you don't have like those other people to help you, it takes a lot. So
it's tough.
I respect it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. But yeah, like I say that to say, you know, not just to big me up, but like to say that, like, you know, it takes, you know, it takes balls to like say like, you know what, I want to be the center of this thing. I want to be the focus point, you know, the subject. So salute to you, and salute to anyone watching who's like trying to do it and trying to like start their own music thing and be an artist. You know, like it's not the easiest thing in the world. You know what I mean? It takes courage.
No, for real.
So for a question for you, for the person who is, I don't know, maybe like yourself, they've dabbled in production, or maybe they've written, or they're good at writing songs and stuff, but they've never really had the courage to be like, oh, I actually want to record it, or oh, I actually want to put it out. Like, what do you have to say to those people?
I mean, you're never gonna know what the results could be unless you put it out. You know what I'm saying? It's like stuff that I was afraid to put out did better than I ever thought it would. You know what I'm saying? There's stuff that like you just can't be the judge of yourself. You gotta let other people do that, and just love yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just put that stuff out. So anything you're passionate about, you need to go for. And like, you know, if you're a producer who wants to rap, I mean, Kanye was that guy, you know what I'm saying? So you never know where that potential is unless you really, you know, go for it.
That's fire. Like, don't judge yourself, let other people do it for you. That's so important. That's so key, because I think that's when the whole, you know, overthinking starts coming in, because it's like, you know, this seems to be a topic that keeps popping up on episodes here, but like as creatives, because you're creative, an artist, if you're a songwriter, whatever it is, like when you're creating stuff, you're a creative. And so I relate to that a lot, because it's, you know, how many things have you created that you haven't put out just because you've judged yourself before you let anybody else judge it? Right. It's
too many to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like for me too, because I got so many songs that I never released or never finished or whatever, because it's like, you know, it's fire, and then you start thinking about stuff that really doesn't matter when you're in the studio, you know what I'm saying? But it's just part of the whole game. Like, you got to overcome that if you ever want to be able to, you know, see where it could go.
Dude, that's crazy. Well, for you, as you know, as an artist, you know, I said I'm a fan. I've been listening to your music since Kid in His Room, thanks to, you know, some mutual connects that put me on to your music. But for you, I want to kind of talk about your trajectory and kind of where you've been and where you're going and how everything's, you know, going down. But, you know, I've noticed a substantial growth, as one should, and you know, in your music and what you talk about, to the production, to how it sounds, to everything, to the mastering, mixing, and all that.
Appreciate it.
So for you, like, how did you realize, like, and I know this might sound like a simple question, but for somebody who, you know, is just starting and who knows they're not there yet, how did you start realizing, like, or like even noticing things that you should get better at? Because that's a tough thing to like even think about.
Well, I think when you do it for so long, it's like you look at the results and you have to figure out, all right, how am I contributing to the results? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I might not be able to control if my song goes viral or something, but I can control, okay, what did I do in the studio? You know what I'm saying? Did I spend the extra hours on mixing? Did I send it to my friends, see what they thought of the writing? You know what I'm saying? there's just so many levels to it. And I realized there was a point when I was making music, I think it was just after like a long time of like being impatient, you know what I'm saying? But it's like you look at that and you think, all right, what can I do better? And for me, it's really everything, to be honest, and it still is, but it's the only way I'm able to stay passionate about it. You know what I'm saying? Is it's like, what can I get better at? How good of a product can I make? You know?
Right. That's so big. And for me, I mean, always for the, most of my audience is either, creative people like graphic designers or whatever. I feel like the way we relate to that is like, there's always something that that you are like not the best at. And
Right.
You could even sense it. And, I want to get into some you talked about, like your friends, like how important is having that little inner circle of friends that you can like actually send stuff to? Because I know some people don't even do that or don't even use that as a resource. But how has it impacted you, like in your career?
I mean, I've sent my stuff to my friends pretty much as long as I've been making music, and it's like as soon as I finish a song, I got to show it to, like, I send it to everybody pretty much and just kind of gauge the reaction, see if people hear stuff, they comment about whatever, what is the reaction? Because I don't know. When I'm making a song, it's fire to me, but you got to get out of that. And so usually whenever I make a song, I'll send it to people, see the reaction, and then go back to the studio and see, all right, what can I do better now? And that's been my process with a lot of the music I haven't put out. But I think, once all this music I'm working on passes that test, then it sees the light of day,
Dang, that's big. Because, I mean, how many people get that feedback from actually sharing it publicly? I feel like a majority of people do that. But having that, like, kind of onion peel before the public.
And I think it just depends on what you're going for, because I've done a lot of the stuff where I'll put it out and let the public kind of test. Right. But, after doing it for so long, it's like, I've said it before, but it's kind of like you're either doing it as a hobby or you're not, and so I just make sure, like, when I'm selling myself as a producer, as an audio engineer, all of that, my own music as an artist is kind of like the advertisement for that. So I got to do it at the highest level,
That's fire. Yeah, just continuing to grow, because that's another check. Like you said, that's another measurement, is like, because like I said, it is tough to even notice, like, what am I doing wrong when you're in the thick of it, when you're like, you're mixing, or when you're editing, or when you're done. I've heard, kind of a method that's really important, or that I've heard is like super helpful, is like not, exporting or bouncing like a piece went right like the same day.
Yeah.
I've heard people say like, no, I never do that. Like I wait a day or I wait 2 days and then I come back to it and I hear it again.
Oh, is that something you do? So I might export it when I'm done, but like there's definitely, okay, take 2 days. I listen to it until I get tired of it, because like it's going to sound fire to me no matter what. So the more I listen to it, the less fire it sounds. And then I'm like really analyzing it. Okay, this is the part that I cringe every time I hear it. I need to change. But like if you don't work on it for a few days and you go back to the studio, it's always like a brand new thing. And so like you're saying, it's a great thing to just like step away and then come back, because it's completely fresh,
That's cool though, because for you do that and it's fresh, but you also listen to it a ton. That way you get away from the honeymoon phase.
No, exactly. I try to like fast forward to that as soon as I can by listening to it hella.
That's smart. I'm about to do that. Like every video, every podcast, I'm about to play it back. I'm gonna waste so many hours.
No, dude, like it's a ridiculous amount of times I listen to my own stuff. It's when I first make it. After that, I won't ever listen to it again. But like, when I first make a song, I'm going to sleep with it on repeat. Like,
dang, dude, that's fire.
Going crazy.
That's a great tip. So all y'all, music people, do that, because that sounds really great. I mean, I might incorporate that in my life. But you mentioned earlier like virality, and choosing like to not make that something, because you can't control if it goes viral,
right?
And a lot of people, I mean, this, I'm sure you've experienced it, but a lot of people just don't, like, they use if their song has gone viral as a measurement of their success,
right?
But there's so many things, and I mean, for me, on the platforms that you're posting it on and the distribution factors that have to do with like is it good, is it bad, and things you, like you said, you can't control. So
Right.
for you, how have you handled, you know, because you've had songs that have popped, you have songs with million streams and plus, you have songs that haven't gotten that, but how do you kind of deal with that kind of pressure, I guess?
Yeah. Well, it's tough because it's like you see songs that I've made, I guess, in my position. It's like I've made songs and then I make songs I feel are better that don't get the same recognition as like the ones previous. And at the end of the day, it like I had to detach from all of that and just get back to like competing with myself as far as, okay, how can I make a better song? You know what I'm saying? And so like I really don't pay attention to the numbers in the way I used to, or really look at that as a measurement of success. Like to me, I just want a headline tour, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like that would be success to me. Of course, I also want to get like a RIAA certified something for something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, you know what I'm saying, streaming numbers, all that, like it really doesn't matter, because like real success to me, more than all of the other stuff, is it's like the fans saying, yo, I was going through the same thing you were talking about on this song, and you articulated it in a way that I needed to hear it at the moment, you know? And that's like, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's like you can really use music as a blessing to others, you know?
That's so huge. You know, Rob, the guy who owns this building that we're in, on episode 9 of the podcast, he said, we were talking about podcast because he has his own podcast. So we are talking about that, kind of similar, right? Because it's audio listens. It's kind of, you know, it's very similar to music. Yeah. And he was like, you know, I talked to this guy who owns or who has his own podcast, and he's been doing it for way longer. You know, he's not huge, not Joe Rogan, but like, you know, over tens of thousands of downloads per thing. And he's like, you know, he asked him, he was like, yo, like, how do you get so many downloads? How do you do this? You know, kind of picking his brain, trying to learn. And the guy tells him, he was like, look, all that stuff is cute, but how many episodes have you done?
That's crazy.
And he was like, I've done 50. And he was proud of that, right? Like, I've done 50. Like, I'm cool. And he was like, okay, talk to me when you've done 100.
Yeah, literally.
And like for him, it was, you know, it was the output or the input, not the output. Like, how much are you actually putting into it? How many hours are you putting into it? And to him personally, more than that, the other factor was, am I impacting one person? Kind of what you were saying.
Right.
It's like, am I actually helping somebody with this, you know, this piece of art that I'm creating? So it's beautiful. I love that that's something you think about actively when you're creating music. And
yeah, no, I mean, that's the most important thing at the end of the day to me. Like, if I didn't feel like there was that kind of higher purpose about music, I couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really there's so many ups and downs as a musician, especially as like an entrepreneur trying to really like do music like that. That you got to have a real reason why you do it, or else like when it gets tough, you're going to just quit, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like when you think about music as a tool that helps people and motivates people, it's just the right reason to be doing it. At least in my position, you know what I'm saying? That's why I do it, you know?
I mean, I think music is one of the only, if not definitely one of the only things in life that can transport you to another place.
It's I always call it a universal language, because it's like the chords, doesn't matter what language they're speaking on top of it, but you feel the same emotion, or you could like maybe feel the emotion through whatever language just based off music. And I think that's what's so crazy about music, is the power it really has to bring a lot of people together. And so just trying to really utilize that, because you know nowadays it's like an entertainment thing and people use it as like a means to get famous and rich and all that. But it's like, if you can really use music to help people and to motivate people and to, you know, turn around people on their worst days, I think that's like the most beautiful thing you can do, you know?
Yeah, that's the real W. Like we said, that's the success. And it's funny because even like, again, back to my lane, like in video, like, you know, everyone says it. So when you start learning how to like create videos and how to edit and all that stuff, like you kind of go through phases where like the first phase is like, how sexy can I make this look? And that's where all the Instagram trendy, like, seamless like transitions and all that stuff comes into play. But then every creative gets to a point where, okay, I've mastered this thing, what's next? Because clearly I'm not making Hollywood movies. You know what I mean? Exactly. Clearly I'm not working for Nike yet. What's the difference? And then like, there's other things like motion graphics and typography that go into it. But the biggest thing is sound and sound design.
That's
like,
crazy.
When you see a Nike commercial, you hear like the audience, like the stadium, and you hear, the basketball dribbling or whatever. And it's like, that's not in the video when you record it. That's all post.
Exactly.
That's all like design of like sound. So, people say it's like 50% video, obviously, but it's also 50% audio. And that's just so crazy because a video can go from literally nothing, from not having music or not having good design, to like Hollywood blockbuster production just from music.
Right.
So it's like, no matter what you're into, no matter what you do, like people that say that they don't listen to music like on the daily, like, I don't get it. How do you not?
It's gotta be hard. I mean, when I was in high school, people knew me as the person who always had my headphones in. Like we would have a 7-minute passing period, and in all 7 minutes I'm trying to listen to as much songs as I could from going from one class to another, because it's like a drug, you know what I'm saying? It's like a natural high that you get from music. And so I would be always trying to listen to it. Like I can't imagine. Now I listen to a lot more podcasts than I used to, just based on my lifestyle, but like I always get confused by people who say they don't listen to music. Like, that sounds crazy.
Because even with podcasts, you're still like, there's some audio like stimulation. Like, you're still learning, and you're still like, you have something. So I get it. But man, so something I really want to talk to you about, since you're part of this new age of artists and you've experienced growth in it and you're continuing to grow. I wanted to get your take, because everyone has their own opinions about the industry and about music from the outside in. I mean, I listen to so many podcasts where like they talk about that, but like, and no hate to these people, because I'm one of them, because you know what I mean? I'm not a musician, but I think it's always cooler to listen from the artist. So for you, man, as you've, gone through this 2020, 2021, back all the way 2017, or how have you felt about the industry? Like, do you think that the way the machine is created is there to kind of empower you, or is it more of something that's like you got to really learn to navigate? Like, how do you feel about the current state of the industry?
Yeah, I think it's a broad question, because like there's always something you can get picky about, and then there's always something you can celebrate, and for me, as far as being an independent artist, what I'm saying, I think it's a pretty good time to be an independent artist. You got a lot of resources, but at the same time, just music from like a macro perspective, when you zoom way out, it's a lot different than it was when I grew up, what I'm saying? And so as a fan, it's tougher to like really get involved into a new artist and get excited, because I don't know, it just seems like a lot of what the machine pushes is stuff that sounds pretty much the same. It's not really fostering innovation, but that can change. And I think eventually, that's what's cool about just being an artist, is you're kind of in the driver's seat as far as like, could I make something that influences a change? And there's a lot of room just across the board in hip hop for the production to go up a notch, what I'm saying, and just as an industry to foster innovation. And so I'm not complaining. I just want to make a product that attracts everything I'm going for.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I think, like you said, I think the internet, it's just the internet. I mean, that's what's complicating it, because there's a lot of things that translate from maybe the past generation of music into today, like something that I talked about in one of, I think it was episode 7, was kind of how TikTok and how viral culture and how just quick stuff has impacted music. I mean, I've seen producers or musicians that literally their whole and they've talked, there's like YouTube videos on it of them saying how I produced a viral TikTok hit or something like
That's
that.
crazy.
And like, that's how they're getting on. It's like,
Yeah.
I want like, I mean, what's that one guy called? I forgot. But I mean, we all know like one of those that's like, in congrats, because like, you know, they broke the code, right? They cracked the code and they're doing great. But for you, you know, as an artist who is, you know, trying to either, or for anybody, for the person listening who's trying to make it, you know, full time, at least, at the very least, where they're getting paid to do this stuff, like, what would you suggest, like, to be like a nice, like a good strategy in today, like, or what has worked for you?
Well, so I mean, definitely for what has worked for me is not going to work for the next person, because a lot of my followers and fans I accumulated in a different era, you know what I'm saying? And so it's crazy trying to navigate it now, because it's like I have to adapt, and that's something that I still got to work on. But if I were to manage an artist and I was going to tell them what to do, it would be like, and not that this is what I'm passionate about, that's why I don't really do it as much, but you know, if we're talking from business only, it's like, all right, you got to upload 3 TikToks a week minimum, preferably 5 to 7. That would be crazy. You got to post on Instagram, like, you know, twice a week. You got to drop a song every 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying? And then drop at least 1 to 2 projects a year, you know what I'm saying? And make like as much content as you can. And then if you're good, you'll blow up, you know? But that's a lot of freaking work. And like the money you get from that, unless you're super dope, it's not going to be, it's not necessarily the best return on your investment. But if you were that dope and you're willing to really go hard, then my strategy would definitely be make as much content as you can and just see who likes it, you know, give yourself a chance to be heard, you know?
Dude, that's great. I agree. I mean, I recently, you know, if you're listening to this, you know, there's a Hustle Culture Instagram now, and you know, I've launched the separate thing to kind of separate me from the entity of Hustle Culture, and we're working on a website to, you know, really like drive traffic somewhere. But you know, we've done 2 to 3 posts a day for the last, since it's been out, 2 to 3 posts a day. And it's like, and like, luckily I'm in a place right now where, like, because of all the other stuff I do, it allows me the time to do that. So for somebody who's just trying to be an artist, but it still has a job and still has stuff to do, like, it's tough. And I understand that. And for you, you know, just kind of to talk about your journey, you know, I've seen you you've done that. I mean, there was a season where you were posting on Instagram all the time, you know, where you were dropping singles left and right. And recently, you know, there's been kind of a pullback. And, you know, we talked about it, you know, before, but for you, like, what is it why'd you slow down, and what's kind of been going on behind the scenes that's been impacting that?
Yeah, well, for me, it was just, you know, kind of how I was talking about, where it's like, you look at the strategy to get on in 2021, you know what I'm saying? And then looking at my music and what I've done so far, and really just looking at, okay, where do I fit in that strategy of, like, how do I want to come across? How do I want to present myself? And really just taking a step back, because I've put out a lot of music and I'm young, man. Like, well, you know, comparatively, like, I'm 23 and I've put out a lot of music to where it's like, okay, I want to sit back and really just next time I come out, it's going to be like it's going to be growth, you know what I'm saying? And just me in a different place in my life. And, you know, switching up some things, you know, that's really all it is. And, you know, just trying to figure out how, you know, how do I want to come across? It's like I do want to make TikToks, you know, but how do I do that and still be myself, and figuring out all that stuff. So right now I just been chilling, and just trying to get my music better, you know, because I think, even just over the last 12 months, looking at some of the stuff I've dropped and knowing, like, okay, I know I'm capable of so much more, and now I'm really seeing it. So it's just been kind of just bettering myself and, you know, working on my craft a little bit and not rushing everything, you know?
Yeah, I feel that. And dude, I mean, I'm glad you've taken that time and you're trying to, you know, really discover, like, where you fit, finding your lane, and like really doing that. Because in this system and in this machine, there are a lot of people who are putting out singles, you know, every week. And they're probably feeling like, why hasn't it worked, or why hasn't it hit, or why hasn't it popped? And you know, I'm not here, and I can't be the one to say like either stop or keep going, or you know, what's the right thing, because I mean, it worked for Russ. You know what I mean? Like, it works for some people, it works for others.
Right.
But the biggest thing, I mean, the biggest reason, like Gary Vee says, he's like, you want to put out a lot of content, so whenever you do get to that pop, people have a catalog to go back and look at.
Right.
And what you've done right is that you did acknowledge that you had a season where you could go ham, and you did go ham, and you have, I mean, at least 3 projects that you've put out. So let's say tomorrow you drop this, like, you know, next level, you know, type of music that you've been working on. Yeah. You still have all that. So that, and I think that's important, like, and important to talk about, because I do think that, and I want to hear you weigh on this after, but you have gotten to a point where you are allowed to do that. In a sense. Yeah. Right? Because a lot of people are trying to do that before they even put any music out. And then, like I said, back to the overthinking thing, like, they just don't put it out, or they're waiting to get to a point where they feel like they're Drake. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think, you know, you got to find the balance. And for me, it's kind of like there's a lot of things in my career I would undo, as far as like I would have kept this song in the drafts or whatever. But it's like, you know, here I am. You know what I'm saying? I dropped the music. I can't change that. I've made it to this point. And I'm going to make sure that what I'm doing is something I'm proud of. Because at the end of the day, it's like, that's the only person I'm competing with is myself and what I feel like my potential is. So, yeah, just trying to get better, you know? And, like, you know, people get impatient because it's like, rappers promote the lifestyle of, like, we're super rich and we're in Lambos and we got Rolexes and all this stuff. But it's like, if you really, you know, drop out of college and try to drop music on Spotify and make a living, that's like hardly what it's like. And so I always just look at what can I control that's contributing to it. And so, you know, I just can encourage everybody, work on your craft before worrying about numbers and all that stuff, you know.
Just really hone it in. That's huge, man, because I mean, I'm guilty of it, you know, like being like, okay, this, you know, for me, this piece of content, like, oh, this is gonna be huge. Yeah. And then you drop it, and then you get discouraged. Like, why did I think that this piece of content was gonna be huge? Oh, it's because I actually like it, and because I think it's dope, because I think it deserves the attention. And then when you put it out, and let's say it doesn't reach the goal, like this expectation that you had, you're kind of like, okay, it's not good. Right. But that's not true. Like, it can be really good, and it could not have the attention, and like, that's okay.
I think it's super important just to detach from all the results and just work on, like, you know, do you like it? And then, because I deal with that, you know what I'm saying? But that's why I haven't dropped any of this new stuff, is because it's just like, I know the only person who is going to have a say on this is me. And so I'm going to stack up all this music, and then boom, it's how I wanted it.
That's fire. That's dope, man. Well, something I want to talk to you about is, you know, and we didn't really get to touch too far into it the last time we tried it. So for you, how important as an artist is it to work with other artists and to, like, you know, because we talked about earlier, having that internal group of friends, you know, and they don't all have to be musicians, but how key is it to have those connections with people, or not just connections, but really friendships, and, you know, just, you know, relationships with people who are doing the same thing and who are trying to get the same goals as you?
Yeah, well, especially as an entrepreneur, maybe even more than just being a musician, is it's like you gotta have people who understand what you're doing, because like if you dropped out of college, like I know you did, and you're trying to do something on your own, like whether it be put out music, be an entrepreneur, whatever it is, like it's there's gonna be some cold and lonely days, you know what I'm saying? There's gonna be some times when, like, it's not going well, and you need people around you who really understand, like, why you're doing it. Because, like, you talk to old people, and they're gonna give you the same answer. Not old people, like
older, like,
you know what I mean? We're talking about a stereotype of, like, the person who's gonna tell you don't go for your dreams. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be around people who, either make music like you, or they're just on the same path in life as you, to keep you encouraged and motivated.
Dude, that's so real. And I think I've for me personally, and whoever's listening, like, if you don't have those people actively in your life, because I mean, we all have that friend, or like that distant friend or whatever, that's like doing it, but maybe we feel like we're bothering them, or like maybe we feel like we shouldn't, like, I don't know. There's like you said, there's those cold and lonely nights, and there's those times where you doubt yourself, and I think that's one of the biggest parts in which having a group of friends like that matters, bro. I mean, we talked about it after the last time, like, like, I want to hang out with you because you're dope and because we're like-minded. And I say it all the time, hustle culture, like, this is supposed to be a place where you can like find those type of people, like,
right,
you know what I mean? Like, inserting yourself in communities like that is huge. So I mean, if you're listening or you're watching, head over to Instagram or YouTube or comments, and like comment, actually go and engage, because that's how you meet other people, you know what I mean? And like, go reply to others. But man, for you, I mean, that's all awesome and that's cool. But to the guy sitting in his room producing and not really going out and not really understanding how to make these type of friends, like, how did you or how would you suggest people go out and find those type of people?
You just got to put yourself out there, man. Like, if you really, like, I just remember I went to open mics when I was in my first semester of college, and it was like, it would start at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday night or something, and I had class 8 a.m. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I cared about music that much. I was in there, I'm meeting people, I'm getting people's Instagrams, like following up. And then just, I did take a music class in college. So like, if you are blessed enough to have those type of resources and opportunities, then it's like, make the most of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's somebody in your class who you never know what he could be. You know what I'm saying? You don't know who's sitting next to you. So you got to put yourself in those positions and just get out there.
Dude, that's huge. And I think that's interesting, the open mics, like going out to them, like, actually, and I think this is like a facade or, an illusion of the internet that is kind of blinding to some people. Like, something I've realized as I've grown in this internet age and I've tried connecting with people online, it's like, you don't really get the same type of connection when it's online and when it's in person. And there's like this weird thing where, like, we think that just because you're online or because you're posting every day that you're actually networking or you're actually talking to people.
No, it ain't
like,
the same.
Nah, like going out to, like, for me, it's like going to happy hours, or like, as a business guy, as an entrepreneur, for you as open mics, and I'm sure you go to like coffee shops and stuff like that, but like at a coffee shop is where I meet like real people, and like,
that's cool.
Being open enough to be like, hey, yo, that's like, I noticed that, you have the new beats, like, why'd you use them? Like, I don't know, just like you said, putting yourself out there.
You never know who you're next to, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. Like, people complain about why they're in the same position, but it's like, if you're not getting out there and really trying to do something, nothing's gonna happen. Like, you can get lucky and meet some people on the internet, but a lot of people are closed off, and it's like, if you're in person, you really get that chance to make an impression, That's and huge. It's crazy to think about how that's gonna change, bro. Like, I'm in the wedding industry now, like doing some certain stuff with DJing on the side, and it's like, I forgot what I was gonna say.
We're talking about networks and
well, no, I forgot.
It's all good, bro.
Dude, I forgot. It was gonna be so good though. It was gonna be so good. I forgot, bro. I don't even know where we were. It's all good.
It's all good.
Maybe I'll remember if we like keep talking.
Well, we'll come back to it. But man, something I want to talk to you about that, again, I didn't get to ask you last time, so I'm kind of excited that, like, not really. I'm very depressed, but I, there's some upsides to it not working out. I wanted to know your take on like on the modern day production of music, like sampling specifically as a producer. Like, so, and you can maybe explain it a little better, but my understanding of sampling is when you kind of use another already created piece of a sound or music, or even like, you grab a piece of an old song or any song and you flip it and you maybe use it in your song. I got into this topic, or I got into this thinking about this because I remember I went to go hang out with my family in North Carolina, and my mom loves Tracy Chapman. That's like her musician, you know, like she loves her music. And Tracy Chapman is actually one of the only artists that is actually in the do not sample like official list.
Oh wow.
Of whatever organization it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even know there was an official list. That's crazy.
I don't know either. I think it's the same thing where like you can see other people's credits and stuff. But yeah, basically if anyone samples them, like they can't release the song.
That's crazy.
And you know, I started thinking about it and I was like, you know, first of all, as you know, as a rap fan who enjoys hearing like, you know, I be logging into like Timberland's, you know, lives and whatnot, and I see how it's an art to flip a sample,
right?
And how I see the beauty of that, but then I also see like the beauty of creating something original or like, you know, doing something from scratch. And I started thinking like this new era of musician, if majority of the beats and the stuff is flips and samples of old music, what's gonna be our like Michael Jackson Thriller that gets sampled every time, or like what's gonna be our Sting that gets turned into, you know, Lucid Dreams by Juice WRLD? Like,
yeah, that's a good question. I don't know because they all got trap drums, so it's not like
so even without the sample,
so it's gonna be hard to sample them. But I don't know, dude. I mean, for me, I sometimes think about that too, where it's like, dude, Scorpion by Drake was one of my favorite albums in the last few years. I know a lot of people will hate on that, maybe because of like the way it plays, but as far as the sampling, the problem is Drake's the only person with access to get clearance to those samples. So rap is just like not the same as it was, because you don't have like Dat Piff with the same influence it used to have, where they're dropping mixtapes full of uncleared samples, and like that's gone. And so I don't know what they're going to sample down the road from us, but I just know like even this generation doing sampling, it's not happening enough or the right way.
Oh, wow. So you think...
At least I'm not tapped in with that type of music, to be fair, but still like at the mainstream level, I want to hear more of it, you know?
So you like sampling?
Yeah.
You enjoy hearing like how the flips and all that?
Yeah.
Do you sample in your music? Because I feel like
I used to do a little bit, but that was like SoundCloud days. Now, ever since I've been on Spotify, I pretty much do like everything original, and I don't necessarily prefer it that way, but
it's just like what you do.
Yeah.
Dang, I got you. Yeah, it's crazy. And then like even in Spotify, and like we were talking about before, like how that would play into like success or like you know, streams or whatever. And I think that, you know, a sampled song, obviously, if it's done correctly, like the beauty of it is like you're giving a new generation
the old song. Yeah,
dude. I mean, when Juice WRLD did it, I mean, I went back and I listened to the original by Sting, and I was like, whoa, this is dope. But you know, something else that like, you know, and I don't know how much you know about this, but the person I forgot his name, but the producer, who I think it's Nick Mira, who did that song, who did that flip, like he made like no money off of it, and it was like his biggest thing. I think it took some like, I don't know, I'll try to find the article or something with this.
There was some lawsuit.
Dude, it was like 90% of profit.
That's crazy. That's tough. That's tough.
They took 90%.
That's why I don't be sampling. But it sucks because it's like you want to create something that sounds cool, and you can like. I heard some stuff the other day, and I was like, man, this would sound so crazy sampled. But it's like, what's the point? Because it's like there's a ceiling on, if this ever gets too famous, then I'm losing all my money. Like someone's coming after me.
That's huge.
You feel me?
I mean, and you think about it, like just like even like using him as a case study in Juice WRLD, he was pretty big before he popped. Like I remember it was legit probably like a month before like Lucid Dreams popped off.
It was quick. Like I remember I heard Lucid Dreams on SoundCloud, and it was underground, and then it was like boom, he's huge.
Dude,
he was in there.
I remember a friend sent me I don't even think it was that song, it was All Girls Are the Same. And like that was all the part of the same project. And like legit a month later it like drops and whatever. But I don't even know his personal story, but I would imagine, let's say you do sample a song and that is the song that pops. I would imagine that the exposure you're getting from it, even though you're not going to get paid for it most of the time,
will eventually pay off. Yeah, I mean, you would hope so. I don't really know, because like it's never happened to me, but it's like people I've mixed for, I've seen it happen. It's like Pao Fu, that song that went viral on TikTok. I don't really know the name, but apparently it has a sample.
Oh, wow.
And then it blew up. It took off, and then he just posted it before getting clearance, and then got the label to come in and help out. But sometimes it sucks how the industry kind of forces artists into the position where it's like you got to put the song up without clearance because it's too hard to even reach out and get that type of interaction with the sample creators,
Dang. Because and I guess that's the W, right, of being with a label, like getting that backing. For you, I mean, you're independent. You've been independent your whole career. What's your kind of take on that? Like, if somebody are you like that purist, like independent for life thing, or are you like, I mean, if the bag is right, like
definitely if the bag is right. I think it's people get too married to one idea where it's like, yo, being independent is sick. And I'm speaking, I know about what goes on, so I've seen the pros and cons, and right now I think I'd like to be independent. It's cool to have a team though. If you can be independent and have a team, then I think that's the way I would choose to do it. But sometimes if a label has resources, use them. And I think at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is make yourself self-sufficient before even having to bring a label in, because then they can help you more with just getting your music out instead of just, putting you in the studio with producers and stuff like that, you know?
That's crazy. I look, again, I'm a fan of music. So even though I'm not an artist or whatever, I'm not really involved in it. I like studying it because obviously it's one of the biggest things that impact culture.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've always looked at record labels kind of the same way, the difference between a record label and independent, the same way I've looked at being a college graduate and dropping out.
Yeah.
Because there's clear benefits to I've talked about college, and I want to get your take on it in a little bit as a fellow dropout. But there's clear benefits to it. Like when I dropped out, I wasn't like, oh, screw the networks, or oh, screw the 6-figure job I'm probably gonna get after. Obviously that was something like, oh, great, that's kind of why I went to college,
Exactly.
But dropping out was it gives me the freedom to do whatever the heck I want. I don't have commitments like going to class. I don't have commitments like homework. And I would imagine labels and deals work you got to write 3 albums by this time and by this day, or you got to go on this press tour across the world, and or you have to tour and do 120 shows, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So for you, I mean, is that something you've ever thought about, the wins or the pros? Do you think the pros of the benefits of a label outweigh the pros of an independent?
I think, every situation varies. I don't really try to worry about what I'm missing out on. You know what I'm saying?
That's
it's
facts.
just you got to work with what you have. And, if it was up to me, I'd own a label. You know what I'm saying? So it's I'm not really worried. Yeah, it'd be nice to have that cosign and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's if you know what you're trying to create, then, see if you can create it by yourself, you know what I'm saying? And then if down the road a label wants to come in the picture, then we can talk. But for me, I know exactly what I want to create as my product. And it's if you're an artist and you know what you want to do, you might make more money being independent. It just depends on which level you want to operate at. Drake would probably, he'd be huge without a label, but it's he still benefits from the label doing so much. It's people don't even see when you're an artist at that level. You need a whole staff to operate. You're a business.
Yeah, I love what you said though. Okay, screw the label thing, because I mean, reality is, and you didn't say screw the label, but what I'm saying is it's nicer, or it's nice when you get started to, instead of hope for a record deal or something like that, to just connect and build a team around you. Because I mean, essentially that's what a label is. It's just a team of people, obviously with connections and stuff like that. But the short term is oh, okay, you have a manager when you're there, or oh, okay, you have a producer when you're there. But you don't need that to make those connections yourself.
Right.
And for you, I mean, I know you have a manager, right?
Yeah.
So how has as an artist for you, and obviously if you're not in music, take this and bring it into your industry? Like, you know, for me, I would imagine that like that'd be like an assistant or somebody who can help with PR. Like, how has that affected or impacted your career?
Yeah, well, I mean, when choosing a manager, you know, you definitely just have to make sure you're on the same page. And it's like, you know, when I'm doing something with my manager, it's like our we have to share a vision, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like we collaborate on like, okay, how can we make this idea the most it can be, you know what I'm saying? And so that's really like my use for a manager. It's just like the behind the scenes, like, yo, what do you think of this, like, you know? But for every manager is different, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just like for some artists it might mean something else, you know what I'm saying? But at least, you know, for most people at this level, it's got to be somebody who just believes in you and is willing to go hard for you no matter what, you know? And if you have somebody like that, you know, like that's like the best thing you could ask for, you know?
So it's really like a partner.
Yeah.
It's just, Dang, that's dope. Yeah, man. I think something that's really, you know, interested me about you, your music, your subject matter. You've always talked about, you know, and it's changed and it's progressed and it's evolved as you've obviously changed and progressed and evolved. But something I always caught, and I guess I related to as a dropout and as, you know, the underdog, if you will, like, and I'm sure a lot of people who listen to you, like, you always talk about, you know, being a starving artist and like the struggle of like actually trying to make it and like the things that come with that. As you've grown, as you know, we talked about this a little last time, but as you've grown and as you've gotten bigger, how have your views on like, you know, I don't know, like relying solely on your income of Spotify or DistroKid or whatever you use, like how has that changed, you know, as you've, you know, grown?
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely like DistroKid and Spotify money, it's like the best type of money you can make because it's passive income. Like I'm sleeping and I wake up, I'm getting paid by Spotify, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to consider that for Spotify to grow as a company, as a corporation, they have to pay artists less royalties. And so that's going to happen whether artists like it or not. They can kick and scream. It's going to happen. And so for me, you know, I realized, yeah, I have a gift at being an artist and it's a blessing to be in the position I'm in, but I'd be blocking myself off from so much potential if I told myself I'm just an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm getting a mix for artists that are going to do way more than me. You know what I'm saying? I'm producing for artists that are going to have huge songs, you know, so just being like enjoying the ride, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm in here, I'm in the music industry. And so it's like, all right, what can I check off the bucket list, you know? And it's like some of that could be producing, some of that could be mixing. I've even picked up DJing because I think that's just a sick if it's just supernatural to me, and then it's like another money maker. So it's just, you know, I really am not that picky about like how I get to exist in music because I love music, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's important just for people who are entrepreneurs, is allow yourself freedom to, you know, kind of adjust as you go and figure out your direction, you know?
That's huge, man. And that's one of the things that we talked about last time that I thought was the most impactful. That was, you know, like it's okay, or it's encouraged, like you should have multiple different sources of income, because I mean, God forbid something falls through, or like it's just, you know, basic common sense. But it's such a stigma in music, especially, you know, and you hear it like in like actual like art, like painting and stuff, like a starving artist, like, or paying your dues or whatever, like whatever that means. I mean, like, how do you even know when you've paid your dues or not? Like, you know what I mean?
I think it's just, what I've learned is it's just a vulnerability to be in music trying to make money. Like if you can really just be in a position where, if, you know, if I were to do it all over again, stack up some cash, make a product that's undeniably good, and then invest in the product, you know. But it's like, if you're trying to put it out and get money off it and then reinvest, it's like, it could work. I'm not discouraging that, but it's like, you know, you got to count the cost before you start. And I think that's something important, is the further out you're planning, the better it's going to go.
Dude, I love that you said that, because in the last episode where that I put out, it was called Taking the Leap, and I talked about my experience and how I, basically just dropped everything and was like, I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I thought the same way. Like, if I could do it again, maybe I would have waited a little longer, or like you said, stack some bread so you can like actually, like, when you actually launch it, you can have some financial
But you
backing or
so
peace.
fired up in that moment, like,
right?
and that don't matter. I know it though, because for me it was the same. Like, I dropped out of college. It was no hesitation. It was like, I'm in the class. I looked around. I decided right there, I'm done with this. No type of consideration or consultation with people. It was like, I just feel this in my gut, so I'm gonna do it. And while that's really exciting and fun, and I mean, you got to go on your own spiritual journey. You know what I'm saying?
That's facts.
So I'm never gonna discourage somebody from that, but because I learned so much along the way. But it's like, yo, just as a man getting older in general, you realize, yo, the longer out you're planning and the more disciplined you can be as far as like how you're doing stuff like that, your life's gonna be a lot easier long term.
And it's always risk versus reward. Like, I mean, what age were you when you dropped out?
18 or something, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was like barely 19 when I dropped out. Like, if you drop out at 19, like, or 18 or whatever, you could always go back.
Exactly.
So,
no, exactly.
And that was my thought process. It was like, I mean, college isn't gonna like dissolve as an institution.
It's not going anywhere, dude. It's not going anywhere. And it's like, I'm like, I've even considered classes, but I told myself, if I'm going to college again, it's because I want to get smarter than I am right now, not just so I can have some certificate. Because for me, I want to start a business regardless. So if I'm in there, it's to learn a skill that I didn't have before. And I think if people just approach learning with that mindset, you're just gonna do great things.
That's so huge. And I mean, that's what it's for, right? I mean, that's why college is created. It was a higher level of education,
right,
on a specific subject. That's the whole point. But it seems like a lot of people just kind of go, and again, not to hate on anybody who's done it for these reasons. I mean, a lot of people do it just because their parents went, and because it's a legacy thing, or some people do it just because they feel like the paper, like you said, the certificate's gonna instantly mean 6 figures.
Right.
And
and it doesn't,
bro.
And it doesn't.
I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, with people in my life, like Sylvia, for example, she got the whole broadcast communications degree, and it's lit. And she thought, like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna get a job, and she got one.
Yeah.
But it took a little while, and it wasn't what she thought it was gonna be.
Right. And I don't know how the economy's affected things, but it's like, your leverage coming out of college with the job, or coming out of college going into a job, it's like they're looking at you still like, yo, you're just lucky to work for us, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think that's cool, but it's got to be even harder for people like us. It's like, all right, we don't even have degrees, so they're just looking at us. But I've always been a square peg as far as I could think of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I got so many skills, but they can't put me in one box to where I would work at a company and do well, like, at this point in time, unless I really figured out what that is. But yeah, dude, it's a crazy system that it's like, does it really reward the smartest people? It's like, who knows?
We'll never know, bro.
Knows? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
no, and that's tough, because you hear, like, I don't know, like Mark Zuckerberg, like, dropping out, and like, just is one of the biggest, most paid people in the world. And like,
well, but I love the entrepreneur community, because it's such it's a bond. You know what I'm saying? People know what it is. Like, it's not something everybody can do. So it's like, we didn't go to college, but we got a community of, there's like definitely a niche of people who kind of been through the same stuff and had to figure out how they were gonna run it up.
Yeah.
And so that's like the trade-off. It's like, you give up some of that security and that peace of mind for extreme risk and an adventure. And that's what being an entrepreneur is about. I think there's so much personal growth and development that you get along the way of having to face those ups and downs and pick yourself back up, after a fight,
Dude, that's so real. I mean, I never even thought about it that way, but you know, everybody who does take that, like, not even just in this lane, but the less, what is it called? The less traveled, the path less traveled.
Right.
There's that feeling of, adventure, like you said, and just risk. And then, for some people that's exciting. I mean, for me, I love that, and it can get like everybody. And it's funny because, when Gary Vee just started, everyone was like super hyper glamorizing the lifestyle of an entrepreneur and stuff. And, rightfully so. I mean, there's really cool stuff about it.
Right.
But now I feel like a lot of people are taking the stance of like, let's not miseducate either. Like, let's not just say that you're gonna drop out and it's gonna be super fun and it's just gonna be perfect and everything's gonna be great.
Exactly, because those TikTok influencers be like portraying a lifestyle that's almost dangerous for kids to see, because it's not like that,
Yeah.
Like they don't know those jets are rented or those freaking Lambos are rented. You know what I'm saying? So kids be like dropping out of college just willy nilly thinking like it's gonna be smooth sailing. Like you gotta have a plan,
Right.
and it's not like these videos, I swear, they're just like, yo, put 15% of your income in Ethereum and
you're set for
you're
life.
Retired at 30.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, bro.
Dude, that's so funny, dude. I watch I don't know if you know who Cody Ko is.
I'm not sure.
So Cody Ko and Noah Miller.
Maybe, I don't know.
So he's a YouTuber.
Okay.
He does, and he has a podcast with his friend Noah Miller. They actually are in music now. They do like, it's really cool. But anyways, his whole thing, he's a satirical guy. He's funny. He'll like watch videos and he'll make fun of it or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of the ones that he made fun of was this kid who was like, I don't know, maybe like 17 or 18, and it was like a day in the life of a like entrepreneur.
Oh boy.
Bro, you know what it was. I mean, it started with his morning, brushing his teeth and how important it was for like self-meditation, all this stuff. Hopping in a private jet,
Hopped in a private jet.
Somehow drinking champagne at like 17 when like you can't, bro. And it was this whole thing, and it was funny because the homie debunked him and like looked him up, and like homie doesn't have an income. Like he's a father, like his dad pays for all this stuff. Crazy. And he's out here telling kids like, all you got to do is like meditate in the morning.
And it worked, huh? He probably has like a shit ton of followers.
Millions of views.
That's crazy.
And like, oh, bro. But it's that miseducation of like, okay, now the kid who's 16, who's like hates school, knows like, I'm not even going to go to college because I can just
be like that kid.
Yeah. Just meditate every day and it'll happen.
You can meditate and the money
bro,
will come.
Or manifest it. And there's power to that. And
it is for sure. I mean, I ain't gonna talk down on none of that stuff, but at the end of the day, like when you're selling like I bet you this dude who's making the video about meditating and getting this money and how he's taking it to this level, he's probably selling you a course or something.
Oh yeah.
So there's a catch. There's a catch, he's selling you something. That's why he's portraying his lifestyle like that. And so you just got to be mindful of, who's giving you advice and who's giving you information, cuz people just got something to gain out here off you,
Facts. And I mean, that's just the world we live in. I mean, we live in a capitalist place where everything's surrounded by money, and that's what drives everything. And like, there's beauty in that. There's cool, like as an immigrant, my family comes from Venezuela. Like there's a beauty in like,
that's cool.
We can come
Are
here.
you first generation? Where'd your parents?
First.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's weird because we were all born in Venezuela.
I got
you.
We all
moved together.
That's fire.
Yeah.
So do you remember it, or you were just here?
It's cool. I do. I remember like bits and pieces. Like I remember like, Venezuela is not like, Dallas, like the streets are like cracked and like messy and gross and stuff. But like, I remember we would go, there was this like national park that was like an island. And for like really cheap, you could like take a little like, in Spanish it's called lancha. What is it? It's like a speedboat. And you can just go there. I remember being on the speedboat, things like that. I remember, and my parents they're musicians.
That's fire.
So my dad he's a percussionist, Latin percussionist. So he plays everything from the congas to the timbales to like, cajon, everything you can think of. Like his setup is like a 360 of instruments.
That's crazy.
It's badass, bro. It's pretty cool. But he does that. My mom's a singer. So, I mean, when they connected, they made a band and everything. And like, So I remember another vivid memory is like being over somebody's shoulder. I remember who I was a baby. I mean, we moved when I was 6 to the United States. So like I remember being over somebody's shoulder at like a block party, like just being wild, like
Yeah,
just them
yeah.
partying. So,
That's crazy. That's
but
crazy.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like for someone like me talking about this, money drives everything. It's like there's obviously negatives, and we kind of touched on it before. You said like corporations, they want to pay employees
As little as possible. Yeah.
as little as possible so they can make as much. So there's that side, which is like it sucks. But then there's the other side for the entrepreneur,
Right.
where it's like, damn, I can come here from a third.
But if you own the corporation, you lit. You know
Bro,
what I'm saying? And
I
there's
know.
enough room if you got a good product and you can, get enough people rallied behind it. That's what's cool about America is I think you do have that freedom to go do stuff. And I think the tax laws are crazy, like, to be honest, as an entrepreneur. But, I mean, I don't know how it is in other countries to be able to tell you it's not better here. So, like, I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to go for it, because we are, like, my parents, they aren't, I don't know if they're first generation, but it's their immigrants. Like, their parents were born in Mexico, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
So, it's like, we just blessed to be here, you know what I'm saying? We got to make the most of it for our ancestors,
Dude, do you think about that sometimes? Like, is that like a driver for you? Like knowing that, like,
it's really just crazy because it's like, of course they would have wanted me to go to college, you know what I'm saying? So it's just different. It's like back then, I guess the mindset, if you're like somebody living in Mexico, you're moving to America for the chance to have your families for generations go to college and, make money and all that. But I ain't tripping, you know what I'm saying? I got to be myself at the end of the day. And I'm blessed to be here, I want to raise kids here. So whenever that time comes, just to show them what opportunities there are and educate them on like, it doesn't just have to be one way, but I'm gonna support you no matter what. And because at least like, my parents might be kind of immigrant, but like I'm not, I'm here. I'm here, so I just gotta show them like, hey, here's what I've seen, and like this is how long I've been alive. So that's what I know.
Dude, I'm curious, how did your parents react to like you wanting to drop out? Or like,
oh, they hated it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's like you can't blame them when it's like that's all you see
same
growing
with me.
up, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's how they saw to get it up. For me, it's like I got friends who, like, I mean, 4 out of 5, it's like freaking going after music, making it full time on tour, whatever, or starting a marketing company and being full time. You know what I'm saying? I know people really doing it, and so it's like those are my friends. And if all your friends are people only successful through college, then it's like I could see how you would gain that perception. But for me, I've just been blessed to be surrounded around a lot of successful entrepreneurs and just musicians.
That's awesome. But that's interesting because obviously if anybody who listens to your music can probably relate to that, like the dropout, because you talk about it a lot. I mean, I talk about it a lot in my stuff too. Like, so for I mean, to tell you my thing is when I dropped out, it was weird because my thing was I went to college for a semester. I went to like TCC, that's like the community college.
Oh
here. Yeah, so I went there I went for 2 semesters, right? I actually attended and tried the first semester. I like, bro, like I already told this story on our podcast, so I'm not scared to say it anymore because my mom already heard it. But like my mom worked at TCC.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, she worked in the career services thing or whatever. So she would help students get jobs like right before they graduated. Anyways, so around that time I joined an organization. I was doing all the video for them. It was a local church or whatever. And what I would do is my mom would drop me off because we would both ride together because she worked there. So we'd both get there at probably like 8 a.m. or whatever. And she'd be like, all right, have a good day, go to classes, whatever. I would go and I would sit, and a friend of mine would come pick me up from college, and we'd go to Dallas and we'd just like do whatever we had to do, like make content, because that was what the gig was. And I did that for like a whole semester. I started, like you said, I built those friends where I could be like, Mom, look at this, like This guy's killing it.
Exactly.
This dude's doing it. They didn't need college. Because same thing, like that immigrant thing. It's like, I mean, anybody from anywhere can attest to this. Like,
right.
You know, you come here, you're supposed to go to college. We strived and we struggled so you wouldn't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, my dad was the biggest thing because my dad was like, again, Latin percussionist, like his dad. So my grandpa was the general of the Venezuelan army.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wild. Like they lived in Montreal, Belgium, Brussels, like all over the world. Like my dad was set. And then he was like, hey, yo, to his dad, I'm going to marry this girl who you don't approve of. I'm going during winter break to Venezuela. We're getting it done. And then I'm just going to try to make it as a musician.
That's crazy.
Wild, right? So imagine for him, right? When I'm like, hey, Dad.
Yeah.
I know you did all this, but I want to like screw everything you wanted me to do. I want to do this. And I want to, you know, and for me, you know, I just wanted to do my own thing. But it's that whole thing, like, as a parent, you're like, dang, I just want you to be good for the rest of your life, right? Like, I just want you to whatever. But for me, I mean, my piece of advice for anybody thinking about it, I'm lucky enough, and I understand that it's a blessing, and I know a lot of others maybe don't have this, but I've always been close to my parents.
Yeah.
Always, like, you know, I've never was the kid that was like best friends with their parents, but like I was close enough where I can talk about stuff like this and not feel weird. So I was always like, when I told them, I sat down, I was like, my friends are doing this. I want to do this. Give me a year.
Right.
And that was the pitch. And for anybody listening, it's like, if you want to, you know, drop out, first of all, understand, like we said, that college is going to be there. Right. So let's say you try it and it just doesn't work out. You can always fall back on that. You can't do the whole college thing and then like rewind time.
Right. You're only going to be young once. And so it's like with music, it's like I was like 18. I'm like, yo, I'm only going to be this age once. And I was already at the point people are paying me to make music, like paying me to mix and master. It didn't make sense to be in college. But that doesn't mean like, you know, what if I'm 45 and want to freaking learn about, like, you know, biology, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that stuff's always going to be there. But, you know, if you got a passion, you know, it's okay to realize there's seasons in your life you're going to do one thing and then sometime else you might do something else. Like I think Vanilla Ice is like a real estate agent or something.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
So it's like, you know, not to say everybody's going to do that, but it's more like, yo, you're going to do multiple things. And if you want to be a musician and really go for it, you got to go for it. And, you know, with what you're doing too, it's like, if you already see the vision, you might as well just try it and not waste time if your heart is ultimately going to be in your business, you know? Right.
Damn, that's wild. You know, one last thing I want to talk about, you know, for you, as an entrepreneur, you know, and we kind of touched on it, but as an entrepreneur, because you're an entrepreneur first, like music is just the thing that you fell in love with, right? When you decided, I want to learn to mix and master, or I like when you started the garage band, I know that was a love thing,
right?
But like there was a time when you were like, okay, I should take this seriously. And you know, even with songwriting and you know rap and stuff, like did you realize, or when did you realize that like you knew that it was going to be an asset to be good at all these things? Because I mean, like you said, you're getting paid to mix and master.
Probably like the first time I moved out, it just gave me the dose of reality. It's like, yo, you got to pay the bills. And I was making money off my music streaming, but it's like, you know, unless you're a big artist, it's like, what kind of money do you really want to make? You know, and it's like, dude, I don't want to be broke. So, you know, I want to do as much stuff as I'm allowed to get paid for. And so, just the first time learning to pay rent, it's like, okay, I'm started building up my mixing clientele. Started putting up beats for sale and just learning about how to make passive income, you know what I'm saying? And just what that's all about. So, you know, you get to a certain age and like kind of how I was saying, you can't pigeonhole yourself into one thing. If you know you're good at all these things, like I think I'm good enough at engineering to do, you know, to go however far I want to with it, you know? And so there's no reason why I would benefit from just strictly just being an artist. It's good to get paid however you can, especially like there's so much ego that goes into rap and music and stuff where it's like people want to be a superstar or rock star. It's like, dude, I'm a rock star, but I'm gonna still mix for other people and help them make their product better, you know.
Yeah, that's fire. That's a wake up call when you decide to take that step and move out.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you? Like more in depth, like.
Yeah, well, it was crazy because I definitely jumped the gun. I'm just like, let's do it. I'm about to be rock star, famous, making super bands off music. You know what I'm saying?
Was there like something that made you make that decision though? Like, did the song go off or like what was it?
I was doing well. Like I was just making the most money till that point that I'd ever gotten, you know what I'm saying? And it was all off music. I'm doing it from home. I'm like, wow, like I guess I'm doing it. Here we are, you know? And so I moved out and then it just became like, whoa, like when the reality sets in that it's like, yo, this is your job now, then it becomes like more stressful because you're counting on the numbers to be a certain way, you know what I'm saying? It's not just like you want it to do well, it's like you have to have it do well. Jeez. And so that puts you in a different mindset creatively, at least in that experience for me, which is why now my advice to people isn't to not go for their dreams, it's just to be like, think some of this stuff out so you don't have to go through what I might have had to go through. You know, because all that stuff just interferes with the creative process, you know.
That's big, dude. And I mean, that was a big hit for me. It was like when I moved out, it was a culmination of things. My parents were moving to another state, and I had to do it. But I was also like super confident. I was like, I got this in the bag. I was like, this is gonna be easy, smooth sailing. I had an internship lined up where they promised to pay me like, I think I was living in a studio apartment in Euless, so it was like $600 a month.
There you go, yeah.
So it was chill, but the internship was like, we'll pay you $800 for you to do all this stuff for a month. I was like, okay, cool, I'm set. So I'm doing it right. I pay the first month because, you know, for you youngins that don't know, you pay the rent up front. And then I was like, I'm set for the second month. I go through this whole internship, and I talk about it on episode 7. So if you want to go more in depth, go check it out. But for me, bro, like they almost screwed me over completely. Like I finished the thing. They had said I was like turning around like 3 projects a day, bro.
That's
like,
crazy.
Editing like crazy. They were a startup company, and maybe, you know, I learned a lot from it because I was like, maybe I shouldn't take this big of a leap on a startup company. You know what I mean? But anyways, and then the month comes by. They pay me the $800 like 2 days late. So not only like not 2 days late from the first, 2 days late from the third.
So you're just relying on that super heavy, and it's like, yo, I need this on this day.
Yeah, bro. And it sucked because they almost didn't even pay me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And all that to say, like, I was so confident, and so like I didn't think it through. I was just like, well, it's just gonna happen, and like I just know it is, and like not taking into account anything that could go wrong. But that was my experience with like moving out for the first time. I was like, yeah, I could make it, and I could do it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh.
No, it's tough. And I mean, that's why, you know, anytime I see somebody like you or somebody who's, you know, an entrepreneur just going for it, I respect them automatically because you know what it takes even with a job just to pay the bills. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like if you're an entrepreneur, like you're paying double the taxes, I'm pretty sure. You know, it's just a different level of sacrifice and a different level of stuff you got to go through. And so, you know, to be successful at any of this stuff, it's just a blessing. And it's awesome to see for my people, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, you know, we already paid our dues, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I would be feeling like that sometimes, you know, the internships, all that, it all just accumulates into us trying to be bosses one day, you know. And I always think of like those hours you put in at those jobs, you know what I'm saying, that aren't as fun, how much they build character. Like the Uber Eats I used to do like 8 to 10 hours a day, and it's like it's just a grind, but it humbles you and it really makes you appreciate money for what it actually is, you know. And it's like you just value your time differently.
Yeah, because it's easy to get caught up in like, like money is just a means to your dreams coming true.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not all it is. Like money is how you live. Like
No, exactly.
you need food,
Exactly.
you need a place to stay, you need water, and all of those cost money.
It's a whole factor when to consider when pursuing your dreams, because it's gonna like dictate so much that you're not even thinking about at that age. Like before you've moved out, you don't think about, oh, what happens if your car gets jacked up? Like, you know what I'm
Bro.
saying? So it's like you'll see your world get spun upside down a few times on this path, you know.
Dude, tell that story a little bit, because I heard, I
Dude,
saw
which one, bro? Because I've been through 3 cars in the last 3 years, bro.
I've been through 2 cars.
Really?
That's hilarious.
Really? Yeah, I'm bad, bro. Like every year it's something. Cause like this most recent time in November, I rear-ended somebody and then totaled my car through that, and then the year before that, somebody like I don't know if they T-boned. They didn't. They almost T-boned me. I skidded out of the way and saved myself, but totaled the car. Then even before my car before that, I didn't check my blind spot. So yeah, I'm a bad driver. You don't want me to drive.
Nah, bro.
But like, but when you're an adult and you're just like fresh out of college age, and like that happens to you for the first time, like it just changes your perspective on how money works. Because like, as a kid, you really don't even think about that at all.
No, man, that's huge. I mean, same thing happened to me. I mean, the first car that I totaled, I bought like a 2005 Malibu's like black. It was like I think someone sold cocaine out of this before me at one point, because it was like blacked out. Like it was illegally tinted.
Oh man, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I couldn't even get it approved like
That's
when I would do the inspection. But anyways, that car, same kind of thing. I was on like, that was like when I was grinding like, and I had just got like a contract with a club in Dallas. So I was doing videos for this club.
Fire.
So there was like 2 nights in a row where I just didn't sleep, because like the biggest thing that I was trying to like do is like, well, I can give you this video and I can turn it around in 24 hours. No one else could do that for a freaking reason, dude. Nobody does that because it's a lot of work.
Freaking hard, huh?
So I would shoot. I think there was like a sequence of events that basically led to me not sleeping for 48 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Straight. So that, and actually the night before when the accident happened, it was my first shoot at the club. So I was there from like, it's called Concrete Cowboy, and they have this thing called Gold Rush, whatever. And it's like a car thing. So anyways, I'm there from 11 p.m. to probably like 2 a.m.
Sheesh.
And so I get home and I'm like, oh, and I had my interview with the people who were going to hire me, which was my next job, that morning at 7 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
So 2 a.m. I get home and I'm like, it's 2 a.m. I might as well just stay up longer. So I edit the video that same night. Long story, or I made the long story long, but anyways, I wake up, I go, and there's like a stop sign. It's literally like right out of my apartment. There's like a stop sign where usually there's not a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Well, there was for some reason, and it was backed up even further than usual. And I'm just cruising, kind of sleepy. Reaction time's a little off. And I don't rear end the car, but I like swerve out of the way and I hit a telephone pole. And like, bro, it was almost bad because it was.
Did it fall?
No, because I was only going like 35.
Yeah, that's crazy though.
But it was like the transformer was attached to it, which apparently is the thing that gives power to the 6 telephone poles down the road.
Oh.
So like when I hit it, the cop told me when they came, it was like, yeah, you started a fire 2 streets down because it started a thing.
That's crazy.
But anyways, all that to say, like that was like legit my first apartment.
Yeah.
That was like the first thing. Man. I was like, you don't account for this when you're thinking about your bills.
You don't. That turns your world upside down, man. But the blessing is like, and I've gotten to this point, but you got to take when things are going well, you just got to appreciate it, because there's seasons, and I just encourage anybody going through some stuff like that, like you'll get out of it. It just takes time, and you got to be patient and keep grinding. It gets frustrating, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You're like, all this stuff is playing into if you believe in yourself enough, and you're like doubting yourself. But you know, you can overcome all those obstacles if you're patient, and it's patience is the biggest thing, like to, you know, bouncing back from tough seasons, whatever it is, you know, you got to give yourself time to figure it all out. And, you know, being that age, man, so many times it could have gone way worse, and I got blessed, you know, where it's like, you know, you crashed your car, but you got away with your life, you know what I'm saying? And you just got to find those things to be appreciative about and put it in perspective, because, you know, dude, we probably both had some moments, you know. I know for sure I have, but
Yeah. No, I feel that, and I think that that's probably the best trait you can have as an entrepreneur, is that optimism
perspective, yeah,
and
yeah.
perspective. Those two things, man, because yeah, you're gonna have those, like you said,
And
those
somebody
seasons.
else always has it worse too. Like,
Facts.
even though you got it
Talk
really
about it.
bad, somebody else got it way worse somewhere. So,
You gotta be grateful, bro. Being
facts.
grateful is the best. Like, I mean, you can't lose if you're grateful. If your
Facts.
outlook on life is today's great just because today's great because I'm here and I'm not where I was a week ago, like how can you lose? Like what's the L? You can't take one because you're in a place where you can't even allow that into your mindset to mess you up. And it's hard to get there. And I think it takes, hopefully you're listening to this and you can process this and like start adapting and changing your mind. But the truth is most of you probably won't feel that until you actually experience some stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I had to go through some things to think the way I think today. And, I mean,
Yeah, God will make you grateful. Like, he'll show you why. You know what I'm saying? If you don't if you aren't grateful for the things you have, you know what I'm saying, you'll be given a reason,
it's
and
facts.
you'll be shown. So, you know, it's good to just take advantage and realize when things are going well, and to really appreciate it for what it is, because people get greedy, you know what I'm saying? And,
That's real.
you know, we just blessed, bro. Our parents immigrants. We out here, you know what I'm saying? We chasing our dreams, you know. Got a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah. It's a blessing to even be chasing your dreams.
Yes, sir. No,
Yeah.
exactly. And you got to be in love with the chase too, because it's like, for me, it's not even about the results. It's just how much fun
Mm,
I enjoy all doing stuff like this, you know, and
yeah.
just making music.
That's fire. Bro, so I mean I had to ask, when are we gonna hear some of that good new stuff?
Soon, bro. I'm working
Soon.
on it. I've been like I said, just figuring out the sound and everything,
Yeah,
but I just know whatever I'm doing next is going to be the best yet, and I say that super confidently. So,
dude.
just fans can expect that I won't guarantee any release date of
Right.
anything, but I will just say whenever it comes, it's going to be worth the wait, and I can promise that.
Let's go. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I'm a fan. I'm ready. But yeah, bro, I mean, for you, let's end it. I want to end it on this. Like, if you could, let's say there's a plethora of young like people listening to this and they're like, man, I want to be where you're at,
Mhm.
or I want to be where Drake's at, or I want to be where, I want to grow, I want to make it in the music
Yeah.
industry. What's some advice that somebody who's listening can walk away with today, or like a key thing that you want to make sure that they
Yeah.
can get away with?
Well, I would say stay humble, you know, make sure you're always working on your craft, you know, never there's going to be people with less talent than you who get more acclaim and success or whatever, and you got to realize that for whoever's getting it out there, they deserve it, and you got to look at yourself to figure out how you can improve. You know, a lot of people get kind of caught up in all that when it's like, you know, you got to work on your craft. You got to be a professional. If you want to do it professionally, then you got to sound like a professional. Then I would just say, count the cost, you know what I'm saying? Plan in advance, how you want your career to go, like as much as you can, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, try to have an idea of what you're getting into, and then, be yourself. Lastly is just like, you know, I'm a fan of artists who I can see are being genuine, regardless of like who they are. If I can tell it's from the soul and it's not fabricated, I'm gonna respect it. And I think music being a universal language, that's how it is. You just be yourself and you'll find your people, you know.
That's real. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you
Yes,
again.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I said this before. I'll say it again. I appreciate you even coming on the show. I mean, it's like I've been telling all of my guests who got on the show early. I think it's gonna be big. I think the show's gonna be great, but it's not yet. So I understand that you guys are really doing me a favor by coming on. So thank you so much for coming on twice.
Yes, sir.
For saying, you know what? It happens sometimes.
It happens,
and
bro, and it
back.
won't be the last time either. I don't doubt it.
I hope it is. But I appreciate you. Let the people know where they can find you on social media and like all that.
Yeah, so Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything at Adrian Stresow, ADRIAN STRESOW. Send me a DM, I'll reply. I'm not too famous to just ignore everybody's messages, so
dope.
I'll be hitting y'all back.
Cool. Well, it's been another episode of Hustle Culture. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and share this with somebody who you think it'll impact. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, like it, do all that jazz, and comment down below. I don't know. Ask Adrian a question in the comments to do that. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this, go ahead and add us to your rotation. I mean, if you like this show and you're listening this far, I can guarantee you'll like the stuff we've done before and the stuff that we're going to continue to do. And man, Adrian, I hope you kill it. And I can't wait to listen to the new music and the new projects and the new sound and everything you're developing. You're one of those guys who I've seen from the beginning. One of the only artists I can say that I've maybe not from the beginning, but
you've seen a lot.
I've seen a lot.
I appreciate you, bro.
I'm invested and I'm ready.
I appreciate you, bro. For real.
All right, well, it's been another episode. We'll catch y'all later.